Good morning. Good morning. Sorry for the delay. There's a couple of more things that still aren't coming up, and we are definitely trying to get live right now on IG. Well, oops. Guess we are going for it. So, again, good morning. Oh, let me go ahead and hit record so that way that happens. Good morning. This is Dr. Z, also known as Dr. Zary Gross of Greater Self LLC and Dr. Zary Gross Family and Counseling Incorporated. Good morning. And I'll be trying to click buttons and it's 7. Good morning. Good morning. So this morning I was sitting around pondering and thinking about the ideal and concept of there being maybe some myths or some assumptions about time management. And of course, anybody is more than welcome to share. Good morning to share if this has or hasn't been a concern for you. But when you think about time management, is there an assumption that that means for sure you have to be on time? That if you have great time management, then it means you will always show up on time no matter what. And I'm just wondering from the people in the crowd what those thoughts may be and how that looks. And just FYI, I'm down some support, so I may not be able to see all of the comments on the different platforms, but I will absolutely try my best to go back later and make sure that I do answer any questions that do come up. If someone isn't able to sneak in there and jump on IG or join on the actual live to be able to share it. That's what it means. Well, there is an assumption that for sure, if you have great time management, you would never be late to anything. But what about the idea or concept or just the possibility that in having good time management, you also are aware that there are things that you may not be privy to, and you might not have known what it looks like to be able to complete a task or to get things done. So time management, that time will be managed better, but we can't predict detours exactly. And I see someone saying it comes down to prioritizing. Well, that's a whole nother concept. And if you've ever been in like any of my cohorts, we always talk about, well, what does prioritization mean? Because you can only have one priority at a time, despite people saying, I need to get my priorities in order. You can actually only do one thing as a priority. And when you are working towards that, being able to manage the time that you are familiar with and the expectations that you are clear on being able to accomplish and do, it is easier and a little more effortless to be present on time all the time. Sometimes it's super priority to you, then you will consider every contingency. That's also another possibility over an IG. Like, yes, in the moment, you're like, this is the most important thing that I would like to work on and accomplish. And this is where I would like to spend my time and how I'd like to show up in this moment. And then we start getting our thoughts going and, well, how quickly we can get into our own heads and then start creating who knows what. But I bring up the idea of time management and being on time and wanted to kind of go through this series. And due to a couple of technical glitches, I may not be able to share all of what I wanted to for today, but because it's a series, the cool part is you keep coming back, you'll keep hearing the rest of it. And I'm not limiting and restricting myself to having to have done everything all at once in this moment, because literally we're talking about time. And what would be the benefit of attempting to facilitate something that, due to unforeseen activities, just not being able to connect different systems and having them just blitz, It took away time that I had planned, intentionally scheduled weeks in advance, because I've already committed to 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. I will be showing up and I will be sharing information for free. So if anyone's ever wondered, how can I possibly get access to Dr. Z or any of the info that could be helpful to me, my clients, or just anything I care about, where would it be? Well, it would be right here. And because I'm committed to that time, as many possibilities and other contingencies or things that come up, you definitely try to think of them. And then you have this great learning opportunity where you actually end up finding about more ways that you can start to manage your time and prioritize what is most important. Is it most important to get to a place, or is it to get there safely? Is it most important to be able to show up and be frantic and all over the place, or to give yourself a little grace and take a couple of minutes to compose yourself and then actually show up in a way or a version of you that's more conducive to who it is and how you'd like to be? Hence, coming back around to, if you're managing your time, did you give yourself enough time for maybe a break or a transition? And again, I had big plans on going through the 5M's with you all today. And like I said, it'll just be transferred over to Thursday, because that will give me more time to explain it more clearly. But thanks to some of the folks over on IG, it definitely helped bring up prioritizing and being able to get better with the idea of where are you spending your time and how can you more consistently show up in a better way in the time that you do have. So for instance, say you are actually late to a meeting and it's a pretty important one. Is there any way that you may be able to give yourself a little grace and or attempt to share that respect that you have for the other person, giving you the opportunity to then expedite the information that maybe you're presenting, and thank them for being willing to be able to hold space for you to show up, versus maybe throwing the whole ideal process or opportunity away just because you don't want someone to believe that this is how you show up all the time, no matter what, when indeed it may be how you showed up for this day in this moment, not consistently who you are all the time. When we are looking at how we're managing our time and how we're making it a priority, there's a huge benefit in making sure that you make what you're doing with your time your priority being fulfilled first. And if there is a way to ensure that others' needs are met, then that's even better. But when you are giving away your time and you are looking at, well, how am I spending it? Where am I spending it? And with who? If you aren't gaining something from it at a certain point, you might start to experience the sense of martyrdom and feel like you just keep giving, but there isn't space or capacity for you to actually receive back if you're constantly giving. Hence, your time, your actual physical time availability starts to dwindle down. And you start to find yourself actually overbooking and overcommitting and under showing up and underproducing, which totally would defeat the whole purpose of you being able to look at how you do manage your time and how you are able to show up in a way that's more in alignment with who you are as a person and how you would like people to perceive you. In this moment, I'm just kind of wondering, has anyone ever found themselves kind of in that space? Pretty much similar to what just happened this morning. And the thing is, it's happened more than once, but that isn't the regular of maybe being late or not being able to access everything you need in the moment, despite proper planning and all the other things that would help to support with consistently showing up on time and managing the time you have available. Mike, and I know sometimes it can be a little slow on the responses. Not a problem, not a problem. I'm also wondering in this moment, if you were the person who was waiting for someone to show up, would you prefer for someone to not show up at all, to let you know that there was a glitch or a delay, or to cancel and pretty much never speak to you again? And you can totally leave in any of the chats, like which one would be most ideal to you. And it could be that If someone is late or doesn't show up on time for you, you've determined that this person isn't going to be somebody that you're interested in doing business with or providing services to or receiving services from. Is there a possibility that you might also look at just understanding that sometimes things can get different, that it can change? There has to be an audible that gets called out like at the last minute, which being able to pivot and make those changes on the fly does give you the opportunity to be more flexible, to have the capacity to maybe even get to learn people a little bit better, because there might be some skill or technique that they have that's really great that would actually condense the amount of time that's necessary to do things. But when we don't give ourselves and others the opportunity to really look at what can you handle, how can you handle it more efficiently, and then what amount of time does that take as you're putting things into perspective based on what is most important to you, what is most important to what you've committed to, and how can you ensure that you're in a position that you can collaborate and take everything into consideration and then still show up in the best version of you. What I wanted to go over and share more in detail, and like I said, this is a series, so for the rest of this month, I'm definitely exploring different things in regards to how our time is managed and what that looks like to be on time for different aspects of life. So not just physical time, but also what work you may be doing, who you might be doing it for, how you're actually making money, and what are some of the things to take into consideration as you are actually looking at where and what your time, what you're using your time for. The 5M's is one of the concepts that I use within my GTV cohorts and just across the board when I'm explaining things and looking at how someone can incorporate a mind, body, self, like just the best, greatest version of you. I look at the 5M's as another means of being able to access each of those different areas so that you can set a priority as to how and when you will be showing up for yourself and how you can commit to using your time most effectively for what you have available. Those 5M's are mindset shift, manage, maximize, monetize, and manifest. So if you're looking at your time, and this is what I'll go over a little more intently on Thursday, how can you use those 5 different ideals or those 5M's to look at how you are showing up mentally when you're looking at physical time, you being in a location? What's the mindset that you have when it's time for you to be somewhere, do something, or just how you show up? What are the thoughts or things that are kind of coming to you that you're willing to share with other people? Manage. How do you actually manage what's going on in your life and what you may or may not have access to? Do you look at, okay, if it's, 7 o'clock, do I have time to go take an hour drive and come back or do ... and still show up, at a meeting for 9? Some people can, and you being able to know what you have the capacity for and how you're going to show up if you do that will make a huge difference in what you're going to be doing next in regards to maximizing. So maximizing is really looking at your resources. Who are the people that you have access to that can support you? What systems can also support in being able to manage your time more efficiently and consistently? And are you managing those resources well? Do you have the mindset to be able to provide? Do you have the mindset or space capacity to ensure that you are exploring the best ways to use those different resources that you have and managing what available time isn't already spoken for with things that support biological needs like sleep, eating? Are you actually scheduling time to be able to eat? The next is monetize. If you are showing up every single day and you are giving things away to the world, at some point, there would be a huge benefit to monetize the things that you most enjoy doing, because you're going to show up in a much better version of yourself when you're able to do that. So the time that people may have access to you, or that you are producing or providing a service or managing other people, looks really different when you are doing it. When you're doing it during a time frame that works best for you, You're doing it with a population of folks that you really do want to be supporting, or a service that you want to be a part of. And when you're compensated for it at a certain point, because you enjoy what you do so much, it's pretty effortless to just keep showing up and keep sharing what you've got going on. The last M is manifest. When you are able to kind of keep these things in mind and consistently just reevaluate for yourself what's working and what's not working. Do I, on a daily basis, as you look through your planner, do you find yourself consistently late to everything? And if you are, what might be going on there? Like, is it a matter of maybe you don't want to do the thing? Is it you don't want to see the people that are there? Do you seriously just maybe not have a watch, or just lose track of time pretty effortlessly? Because some folks, as you may know, if you have a little ADHD going on, it's not hard to turn your head and be engaged in something totally different and completely mismanage your time because you weren't able to maybe maximize the resources that you have to keep you consistently on schedule. But when you're manifesting, you want to look at being able to manifest the lifestyle that you do want, being able to show up in a version of you that really is in alignment with who you want to be seen as and how you like to be most perceived, so that you can be the most helpful, supportive, greatest version of you. And you can walk away each day feeling comfortable that you showed up, you showed out, and there was nothing left to leave on the table because you put it all out there. You actually used every minute of your day in the ways that you wanted to and consistently, and were able to do so on time for what was most important to you. So I guess technically I did share a little bit about it, and a little more than I even thought I'd be able to. Any questions, thoughts, or concerns? I'm attempting to check and see if I can see the other platforms. Of course, by all means, like, feel free, drop me a message, shout me out. Today, just in case any of you are aware of or maybe checking it out, one of my business coaches for private practice specifically, so for therapists, she is hosting a free boot camp this week. So if you haven't seen, by all means, feel free to jump on any of my links and sign up. I believe it will be streamed live on YouTube. And part of why I share it is that literally this time last year, I did not have a private practice that was functioning and running. What I had was me contracting to do work for other companies, and honestly, blatantly too scared to consider having my own private practice. And hence, a year later, in April will be 1 year, my anniversary, I had joined her program maybe October, November, and then found myself finally being less scared, implementing the documentation and the whole process and procedures that she laid out to go ahead and have Dr.Z Gross Family and Counseling incorporated, as well as having Greater Self LLC and being self-employed. I do contract with folks, but because I went through that coaching protocol, and really this free bootcamp is a great way to assess where you're at and where you want to get to next, it was definitely an instrumental part of shifting where I'm at and how I do things. Kind of speaking of collaboration from last week, and that sometimes you work maybe under someone and they are able to show and teach you some things that are supportive to you individually, that later you have the opportunity to pay it forward and collaborate with to support and help other people show up and be able to do that same thing because of your successes from following through, taking a bet on yourself, and then having the opportunity later to come back and be like, how can I, aside from the investments made, how can I also further repay back what has happened? Again, I don't think I saw any questions anywhere that I could answer for anyone in regards to it. So what I will say is, I hope you all have an amazing day, and whether you are or aren't on time, did you look at and give yourself an opportunity or a chance to maybe check your mindset and just see where you were at for the day? Did you get a chance to just look at how you were managing your time? Did you actually have the time available for what you committed yourself to? And if you did you maximize all your resources and tools that you have available and accessible to you to ensure that you could show up prepared on time for what you wanted to be present for, And then consistently being able to monetize that thing so that you are helping other people and helping yourself, that you're manifesting the life that you truly want and is starting to show up and work in alignment with how you like to live and do life on your terms. So if there are no other questions, so I have limited access to some of the platforms because I can only see so many things at once. I want to thank you all for showing up today, spending your time with me, allowing me to just share my insights. And I look forward to seeing you all on Thursday as we'll dig a little deeper into what managing your time can actually look like in regards to creating and supporting a life that you really want. So I will see you all later. Oh, if you ever just want to pop up, give some questions, ideas, or have some topics that you'd like to explore, feel free to text us at 626-722-5661. If you haven't signed up to join the private Facebook group, I share additional information in there exclusively just for those folks that no one else gets access to. Feel free to click on the links, join up. Look forward to seeing you all, as well as our emails that get sent out on Freedom Fridays. Well, have an amazing day, and I will see you all Thursday at least. Well, until then, have a great day, y'all.